What's good, YouTube? Today we are feeling a wee bit under the weather. However, that does not stop the flow. We are back again, once again, for a little GR86 BRZ content. Today we are going over the #1 complaints of 86 and BRZ owners. I want to give a shout out to our Ozzy on gr86.org for making this thread. For the folks that have owned the 86s and BRZs for a while now and have been enjoying their cars, what's one standout complaint about the vehicle, one little or big thing that you could change or fix? There's a few small itty bitty complaints I have myself by the car, but we're gonna get to that after we review the peoples. So first up here we have Speed Racer saying the tachometer in track mode. So as you guys may know, you have the generic circle tachometer, and then once you go into track mode, then you get the track mode tachometer. What do you call that? What do you call that thing? A bar graph? It's not circular. It goes into more of like a bar form of tachometer. Well, I think that is cool, and I'm sure other 86 and BRZ owners can agree that the track tachometer is very cool. Good job, Toyota and Subaru. If given the ability to change the track tachometer back to the circular for whatever reason, I know if you, let's say you want to have traction control fully off, you kind of have to run that digital display. And what I noticed myself, if I want to do a little spirited driving, I kind of have more control of the car because I know what it takes to spin out the back end or what it takes to spin out a little bit. So it kind of gets me, it familiarizes me with the car. If I know, okay, that setting is off, this setting is off, it's more of a raw feeling. I don't want necessarily a lot of systems kicking in while I'm driving, because it kind of interrupts that feeling. So that's definitely one thing that I could agree on, is that I wish they gave you the option to, while you had traction control off, you don't necessarily have to be in track mode. You could have that old style cluster gauge tachometer, and you could also have traction control off. Yeah, dude, +1 tachometer in track mode is not the coolest, not very cool. Okay, next up, coming from Liquid Snake, is the sound system. You have not heard already your sound system in a premium model, in the base model for 86, premium for BRZ. Don't know why they did that, but they did it, dude. Your speaker system, I believe it comes with 6 speakers if you have the base or premium. And to some people, that is definitely not enough, because they like to blast their freaking windows out and have hearing aids by the age of, I guess, 30. Anyways, I digress. I also am a hooligan and like blast my music with my windows down and freaking jamming, dude. So what I have noticed is the higher trim levels, the limited for the BRZ and the premium for the 86, is that the speaker system, generally I cap out at 21 when I do not have CarPlay on. And I'm gonna get to that in a minute, because when I'm jamming out at 21 with no CarPlay, my speaker system sounds perfectly fine, and I honestly have no complaints. It depends kind of where your equalizer is at and also what kind of music you're playing, but generally I would say 90% of the time I'm jamming, dude. 100% I'm jamming. However, I have not heard the 6 speaker system in the lower trim model. Throw an amp in there or something and you got to make it work. I think for the price point, having a kind of a not so great sound system from a Japanese car, I don't know, dude. It's kind of mid. It's kind of bittersweet. Do I wish they gave a little more love to the sound system in the previous, or the lower trims? Yeah, probably. But I mean, it's on a BMW. It's on Audi. It's on German. So I don't know. It's not really. You're not paying that luxurious price, that plus price for that kind of stuff. But back to the CarPlay, what I have noticed is that when I do connect to CarPlay and I do blast some tunes, the audio becomes a little more muffled. So that is one thing I did notice, and I still have to tinker around with it, because I haven't also seen anybody specify on that if they play music without CarPlay on versus with CarPlay on, it sounds significantly worse. So that's one thing I do want to take a look at. Next up is from Vitor. We have #1 nuisance complaint is the fact the seat recline angle is reset each time you put something in the back seat or someone for a driver's car. This sucks So the car you're getting, BRZ GR86, dude, nobody's going in the back seat. If you're putting someone in the back seat and you're complaining about it, wrong car, dude. Go into a 4-door sedan. That's it, dude. And right there, that's it. But when you put something in the back seat and you got to put the seats down, I mean, when it comes to me, I have not once put the damn back seat. I have not put my seats down other than cleaning the car, and I kind of like it that way, because my back seats, dude, you could eat off my back seats. Not that I would let you, but you could eat off of them. If you're getting this car and you keep that thing dirty, nah, dude. But in regards to the recline angle in particular, one thing that I've done, this is very particular. What I have done is I've documented with all my BRZ stuff and whatnot. My seat position, I definitely enjoy where it's at. So what I've done is the seat angle, the recline angle, the base adjustment and whatnot. I've noted those, let's say, cranks, like, you know, you recline it back all the way and then 1, 2, kind of note my seat positioning so I know what is the most comfortable. Let's say, you know, if someone needs to get in my car, or I need to recline that seat back for cleaning purposes because I clean, you know, every other week or so. I don't want to be fussing with that and I'll be uncomfortable while I'm driving. So that's one thing that's quick and easy. Just make a note of your seat position. Next up, we got Ben B. He says the clutch. I've gotten used to it over the 1,500 miles I've owned it, and even installed the M-Tech spring, which I do have, but it's still not great. Pretty numb feel to it compared to every other manual car I've owned. Other than that, I love the car. Okay, so I have to agree somewhat on this that the clutch is definitely a interesting feeling compared to other cars. I have not felt the M-Tech spring. That is actually going in very soon, the M-Tech clutch spring, so I'm going to see how that feels. But the clutch now, I would say, it's very, very inconsistent. You could get used to it. I have about 3,000 miles on it, 35. And compared to other manual transmission cars I've owned or driven, it definitely feels like you're kind of just pushing down a pedal and there's not a lot behind it, just in the slightest bit. It feels, like I said, it feels inconsistent, and the bite point always feels like it's like not switching up, but it's like, okay, sometimes they're in the middle, sometimes they're a little up high, at least from what I noticed. So I'm gonna try out the M-Tech clutch spring, and I'm hoping that kind of, you know, gives a better feel, because I feel like it's the stock clutch spring throws off the feel of the car, and it kind of, you know, it's out of tune with the rest of the car. Okay, next up is a kind of lighter one. The one thing that annoys me every time is that there's no convenient place to grab the string and close it. He hates touching the paint because he doesn't want to scratch it. He doesn't want to pull on the rubber plug things because he's worried about them ripping them off. There's a parent trunk handle that requires drilling into the metal that he doesn't want to do. So that's one thing I've actually noticed myself, because I go in and out of my trunk a lot. I definitely agree that they probably should have come up with like a handle to close the trunk, because like he said, you don't want to scratch paint if there's dirt on your car. Like, you're putting your fingers on the paint and you could easily scratch it that way. Especially, one thing that we're going to cover next is the thin paint, the weak paint on this car. You could scratch paint easy. So yeah, definitely agree that a handle would have been cool, but it's not the worst thing. It is what it is. Next one that is up is that I've noticed recently for myself is from Kosugi. The key fob range kind of sucks, and I do agree with that. I've noticed that recently. I thought it was my little key fob thing. I thought it was this. I thought like maybe the fake leather, whatever that is. It's like 10 feet maybe. I don't know what the range is, but it's really small. They do have that thing where if you hold the handle or something, you press that little button, it locks the car. But when I'm in a rush, man, I don't like, it's like 50-50 if I get that right, if I place my finger on the right space. So it's kind of inconvenient a little bit. So sometimes when my keys in my pocket, I'll just spam the button tons of times until my car locks. So it's kind of mid. Just want to throw this in here. Leda PX said close the trunk via the Toyota Subaru badge. Good idea, dude. Good idea. I'm gonna do that from now on. Just a few more things I want to throw at you guys before we hop into my personal gripes with the 86 BRZ. We have the turn signal ceases to never annoy me. Personally, I don't really care about the turn signal stocks. It's very similar to the BMW style where you click it and it doesn't really click into the place that you want to go. You want to go right, you click it, it goes back to the neutral position, the middle. Personally, I don't like it, but it is what it is. It's a more modernized feature, I would say, modern cars. However, you can switch it back to the first gen stock, which is a nice thing, so you might want to throw that on your list. Next is the amount of storage that the car has. And by storage, I mean in the cabin area. You have your armrest. When you press the button, you have your 2 cup holders. You have a little bit of storage in there, and by mean a little bit, I mean the tiniest bit of storage. And then you have in the glove box. The glove box also has minimal storage. However, there are companies that sell it's like a little storage organizer you put on top of your glove box, because there's a little portion there where you could put something on top of, and then you could put whatever you need on top of that glove box. So I think that's a very nice addition if you are looking for more storage. It's enough storage for what you're getting yourself into. I myself have a little bit of trouble with storage. It's not the worst thing. You could definitely make it work. I've carried around a little backpack with me, so it's not so much of an issue anymore. I usually just throw stuff in my backpack and do the damn thing. So we have gotten to that point in the video where we're gonna touch on my personal gripes with the 86 and BRZ. Number 1, oil starvation, definite issue. If you don't know about it, there is a video on my channel that I'll probably throw in the description down below. I'm gonna make a note of it so I don't forget. Oil starvation issue, that's most definitely number 1 on 90% of people's list if you are an 86 or BRZ owner. Number 2 is probably, I want to say they go hand in hand, the clutch spring and then the non-linear throttle response, which also, I mean, technically you can get it tuned to have a more linear throttle response. And the clutch spring, I'm gonna see if the MTech clutch spring resolves that issue. I've kind of seen, I want to say 50-50, it's more like 70-30, 80-20 people saying that the MTech is really nice, and then I saw a few comments that are like, nah dude, the MTech still sucks, it's mid. I'll see for myself. I'm excited to try that out because the clutch is most definitely inconsistent. I've noticed over time, the more I drive it, the more I'm like, okay, it's kind of weird. I really want that MTech clutch spring in to see if it changes that feeling. And then the non-linear throttle response, it's okay. You got to get used to it. I feel like in modern cars, the rev hang and stuff, and just the non-linear throttle response kind of comes with a few modern cars. I feel like have that, so it's all right. This is a most hated on a lot of cars, a lot of modern cars. A top pet peeve of mine is the steering wheel controls. I absolutely despise having like 20 steering wheel controls. The Gen 1 steering wheel with no buttons and it's just a wheel is absolute perfect. The fact that they put steering wheel controls on it now, yes, it's perfect for convenience factor, but I feel like the knobs are close enough, like everything is close enough on the head unit to where you could just boop 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 boop. If you're even on track, I feel like those buttons, oh my god, when I hit the voice control button, when I do, not that it happens a lot, but when I do hit that voice control button and I don't want to and it starts speaking over my music, I'm like, but yes, these steering wheel controls are a personal pet peeve of mine that I definitely do not like. However, is it life altering? No, maybe a little bit. No, it's not necessarily life altering. That's one thing I want to ask you guys is, how do you feel about steering wheel controls? Does that bother you? When it comes to a lot of cars, when I see steering wheel controls, I'm like, ugh. That's the one thing that just infuriates me, because when I'm driving and I hit a button, I drive with 2 hands on the steering wheel. I don't know about you guys. I'm not like that, but I drive like this. And when I hit those buttons accidentally when I'm turning, or if I'm in the back roads and doing this a lot, and I hit one of those buttons, I kind of get mad, dude. And I'm like, nah, dude, this is not it. And then, last but not least, we have the blind spot. If you drive in a city like myself, one thing I've noticed that's a little kind of irritating is when you go to look in your blind spot, it's not the worst. It's not as bad as 370Z. 370Z has a terrible blind spot. When you look at your blind spot, the B pillar is kind of in the way, so I find myself having to double take. I usually have the ability to see if there's a car there or not, but sometimes I kind of have to double take just to make sure. If I'm driving, a little, let's say like, oh, I got to make this turn fast, then I double take twice, because I kind of developed like, okay, the blind spot in this car isn't the most convenient, so I have to double take or even triple take to make sure there's no car in my blind spot. So that is going to be it for today's video. What I want to know is, what is your number 1 complaint about your 86 and BRZ? So let me know in the comment section down below. I really am curious on that. I still think the car is 100%. It is a top of the line enthusiast driven car for at least today's car. The car list you're getting today for enthusiast driven cars, for manual transmission, a dying breed. I don't want to steer anybody out of getting these cars because of the complaints about them. Cars, obviously, I might even say cars. There's a lot of things that come with complaints. So, you know, you could always find a way around it and appreciate the nice things about this car, such as just driving it in the back roads. But other than that, that is where we're gonna end today's video. If you guys did enjoy the video, be sure to give it a like down below. It really does go a long way. And while you're down there, consider subscribing. That also goes a long way, and it shows me you guys like what I'm doing here. But other than that, check out the video down below in the description on the oil starvation issue. I just want to thank you guys for all the support recently. It really does go a long way, whether it's liking, subscribing, or I mean, even just leaving your comments. I love responding to you guys in the comment section, you know, given that they're nice comments. Yeah. Anyways, the recent support has been really cool to see. That's all I'm going to say. The fact that I could create like car culture content for you guys and, you know, you guys enjoy what I'm creating is definitely, it's one of the best feelings. So, but anyways, I'm gonna get the hell up out of here. I think I've taken up enough of your time. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. They're mid. The FA motors are kind of mid. Super motors in general are just kind of mid. I'm just gonna come flat out and say get flat out because it's flat 4. Ah, crap. I gotta figure it out, dude.